Welcome back to My Sports Compendium, where we visit various moments in sporting history, notable figures or themes, and use cards, stickers or tickets to relive the moment and analyse them further. Today, I'd like to share a purely personal story from the recesses of my memory bank, and this relates to the FA Cup final in 1996, a match that I was at as a 6-year-old with my father. These are our two tickets for the match, and although they are a reasonably simple design, it is a design that I really like. I mean, green is actually my favourite colour. It always has been. You've got the holographic Wembley foil just for the bisecting the Wembley or the old Wembley towers. You've got the trophy, Challenge Cup, and then also sponsored by Littlewoods. And it's one of those almost a hark back to the old vestiges of time when British companies like Littlewoods and Rumbelows sponsored the domestic cups. But it's a ticket that I enjoy. The reverse of the ticket as well. I mean, these are both quite faded now and a bit spoiled. But it just shows some sort of terms and conditions and also just some transport details for getting to Wembley. So those are the tickets to the game. My interest in football had started to peak the previous season in 1994-95, and possibly my first memory of football properly is my dad watching Manchester United missing out on the title at West Ham that season to Blackburn, and I remember just how upset he was getting. So many chances were being spurned, and Ludek McCloskey, the West Ham goalkeeper, was having this incredible match. But the truth was, with how fervently into Manchester United my father was, and still is, it was only going to be a matter of time until I, too, was indoctrinated fully. The next season, I got my first Merlin Premier League sticker album, the 1996 one, the one with the Beckham rookie in it. Check out my David Beckham video. And this, I think, was a very important nexus for me to the actual football itself. I went to my first ever match at Old Trafford against Tottenham shortly after my 6th birthday in March 1996, which was a 1-0 win courtesy of an Eric Cantona goal. But as is already known, that season was one of the greatest title races, and United managed to pip Newcastle, Kevin Keegan's Newcastle, and steal the title on the final day, but that wasn't it. The FA Cup final had also been reached, and we were going for an, at the time, unprecedented double against Liverpool, or the double-double, the arch rivals, the nemesis that Liverpool are. And this final, the FA Cup final in 1996, was the second match I ever went to. My first trip to Wembley, the drive to Stanmore, because everyone knows you don't drive and park around Wembley. That's just something you don't do. And then from Stanmore, you hop on the Jubilee line down to Wembley Park station. And then if you've ever been, you'll know, but if you come out of the station and then down Kingsway, or Olympic Way as it was known then, and I was met with this sensory overload that day, unlike anything I've ever seen. The first sight of the old famous Wembley Tower, it's obviously arched now, but it was the towers back in those days. The home of football, the people, the red and the white, the not so gentle motoring hum of the generators from the fast food stand, that like slight smokiness in the air, and of course the predominant smell being that pleasingly pungent beef burger and fried onion type smells also coming from the fast food stands. Although, as delectable as those beef burgers may have smelt to a young me, a 6-year-old me, I was under strict instructions by my mother. You do not eat any beef burgers. Because you see, 1996 was in the height of the mad cow disease mania, when just a few weeks previously, prior to that final, the European Union had imposed a worldwide ban on exports of British beef. Some beef had been infected with the prion disease, CJD, a fatal disease. CJD, also known as Creutzfeldt-Jakob disease, also known as bovine spongiform encephalopathy, and my mother and lots of British mothers were having absolutely none of it. Some people had died, as I said, of this, or they were on their way to death with this form of CJD called variant CJD, and I was banned from eating any beef, expressly reminded before every birthday party that I would be in great trouble with her if I had any beef burgers at a barbecue. And I can see why, to be fair. So it was hot dogs that day, or nothing, as it was for a good 2 years. At the time with Manchester United, we weren't candidates for tickets to the showpiece events, as we were just members really. We were working our way up that priority ladder, and with the extension to the North Stand the following year, when it was increased to a capacity of 55,000, Old Trafford, we did actually get our season tickets the following season, so for 1996-1997. But with this FA Cup final, although we weren't going to get any allocation from the club, all wasn't lost. We knew some family friends who knew someone who received an allocation from the Essex Football Association as part of their allocation to grassroots football clubs. And it was our friend's father, actually, that put us in touch and relayed the price to us. The price that was requested was a princely sum. £125 a ticket, which was a fair whack for a football match back in 1996. Especially on a face value of £30 per ticket, which was a 4 times markup. £250 was a lot of money for my parents to shell out. But my parents are dreamers. They are frugal, but their frugality has long been to serve the greater purpose, to enable moments like these, to allow for the seizing of opportunities such as this one. And they have always prioritised the dreaming, the need to feel, the importance of moments such as these as an anchor, and above all, always chasing your dreams. The £250 was paid on the black market for these 2 tickets, and my father and I went to the 1996 FA Cup final with Manchester United chasing the double-double. The match itself was a reasonably drab affair, remembered really for 2 things above all. The first, not even anything to do with the football, and definitely the most well-known, are the famous, or should I say infamous, cream suits that the Liverpool team wore before the match, hand-picked by their goalkeeper David James, whom was the new face of this Armani label. These suits spawned the famous and pejorative nickname for Liverpool at the time, the Spice Boys, and when Sir Alex Ferguson saw them, he famously said to his assistant Brian Kidd, 1-0, a curt score prediction that soon turned into a prophecy that came to fruition, with the only goal being scored late on, not quite Fergie time, but late on when Eric Cantona, the king, delivered a moment of magic and Manchester United won the FA Cup with that solitary goal. I remember being there, and when that goal went in, there was this eruption of emotion. I mean, we'd won the FA Cup, the double-double. It was an incredible time, this magical competition, the excitement. And if there was any doubt that this was the beginning of this lifelong love affair with football for me, then those doubts were extinguished that day. I mean, even it's hard to say, but even if we'd lost, I was transfixed. I was captivated, awestruck by what had unfolded in front of me. I remember the flags like whirling round me so well, me up on that seat, the seat because I wasn't quite tall enough, the colours. And when we got back, the match had been recorded by my mum on the VHS tape, and we watched that goal over and over again. We must have rewound that VHS tape about 50 times and just watched that Cantona goal over and over and over again. I mean, etching it in my memory forever, emblazoned in my memory but also my heart. The following day we went to a barbecue and another family friend said about the £250 spent. Now he's a nice chap, a wealthy man, renowned as a little bit of a miser, and also someone that probably doesn't quite understand what football can do to someone. And he said to my dad that day, my dad's called Ambi. He said, Ambi, you had that moment, but you can't bottle that up. That £250 has been spent and then the moment has gone. If that was put in the bank, it could give you interest, or give you some other assets, it could pay you a dividend, but that money's gone now and you have nothing to show for it. And although somewhat ironically, I do agree with this sentiment, and I'm definitely not one for frivolous spending, there are times at which feeling, emotion, whatever it is, has to be prioritised. The human condition, the human conscience, the human consciousness that makes us capable of the most intense feeling, that allows us to unlock the truest versions of ourselves. Sport can do that. Music can do that. And then when we entwine those with our most loved ones, it transcends into something you just cannot put into words. And my dad's response that day?
John, all that may be true, but you have not seen my little boy's face when Cantona scored. Thank you for watching, and please subscribe to the channel.